Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Money Podcast, your source for all things money. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres to keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Karan Vardanyan on the line, and he's a fund manager over at Sprint Crowdfunders Fund. Karan, welcome to the show.
Hey, Adam. Thanks for having me today.
All right, so I'm excited to get into what you're doing over at Sprint Crowdfunders Fund. But before we do that, let's get a little bit further into your background. So how did you get started in your career and in business?
Sure. Actually, I started in banking back in 2008. And I was in banking for around 10 years. Then I switched to this cool stuff over crowdfunding and fund management, and that's how Sprint started actually.
So I think that's a great transition, Karan. Let's get into Sprint Crowdfunders Fund. Tell us a little bit more about the fund and what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Sure. As the name tells, it is about crowdfunding. And actually, Sprint is a unique fund, first of its kind, basically, that is funding crowdfunding campaigns with a unique model by combining both funding in terms of cash and expertise in terms of marketing agencies, like crowdfunding agencies that are specialized in crowdfunding especially. What's the uniqueness of the model? It's that we mandatorily fund campaigns whenever they work with one of our partner experts. And with this model, we are ensuring the success of the money spent. So whatever money is spent, it is spent in a professional manner by the experts, and which means that returns will be generated much more and much efficient than if it has been used by the campaigners themselves. So the one regularity is that we are providing the cash right into the hands of the expert partners, not to the campaigners, or if at some scenario we provide it to the campaigners directly, even in that case we mandate them to use it through the partners we work with. So basically, we provide both cash and expertise, and combining both, we are ensuring the success and effectiveness of the spend and the campaign.
Wow, that's awesome. And I mean, you're right. That is a very different model because it sounds pretty efficient, like for the supply chain of what you're doing. So can you give us an example of maybe some of the things you've done, some of the companies you've worked for, the things that are public out there?
Sure. I mean, actually, we have funded already over 45 campaigns. We started back in 2018. In July, and already funded 45 plus campaigns.
Wow, congratulations. That's a lot of campaigns. You're a busy man.
Thank you. Which actually raised in total over 18 million plus in total. So I think it's a success story.
That is completely a success story. That's amazing.
Thank you. So to bring a particular example how it works. For example, I can bring you an example of the first campaign we funded. It was a funny campaign about toothbrush for dogs, which went viral and hit 1 million plus on Kickstarter and further on Indiegogo. And basically what we do, the campaign starts, it gains the momentum, and as soon as we see that the traction is good and conversions are good, and at some point the campaigner needs some more budget to boost the campaign further or maintain the momentum there, we are jumping in by providing the funding through the agency, as I said. So we are providing the budget. They don't think about any kind of, marketing money that will be spent because we provide everything. They concentrate more on already production setup because the campaign is already successful, on production setup, on logistics, on all other admin stuff, to deliver on time and with no bugs, etc. And the budget is being spent by the agency. The campaign is growing more backers are coming in. And as soon as the campaign is over, And as soon as Kickstarter pays the funds to the campaigners, we are asking our provided budget back. So it is like instantly, as soon as they receive the funds, we are asking them to pay us back, plus some success fees based on the money that we have provided.
Wow,
So
and that's a big thing that you're doing. And for those of you that are listening that aren't familiar with the crowdfunding space or how those campaigns work, so sometimes, and I've heard a couple of success stories. So the one that I remember seeing their co-founder speak about it was Cards Against Humanity, and that was a big one of the big ones that blew up from the early days of crowdfunding. And they had this idea, and they started selling so many that it became, and they didn't really have the supply chain back end because you wouldn't. It's impossible to have predicted the type of success that it would have, and even if you could, there wasn't the money there, right? Because you need the money first. Right. So they had to create a complete supply chain on how to send these Cards Against Humanity cards around the entire world, where they didn't even have that figured out, and they couldn't have. I mean, think about it. You create a card game, you're like, oh, then it goes viral, then you have all these orders, and you're like, holy smokes, I have to figure out how to ship these things on time. But the normal model, not using Sprint crowdfunders, then you also have to maintain the campaign. You don't have professionals that are stepping in to help you grow it and to scale it and to optimize it. So like you have to juggle both of those, which is crazy. So I love your model. I get it, and it makes a lot of sense. So the obvious next question, Karin, is how do you find the type of companies that you want to work with?
Yeah, actually, we use 3 channels. The first one is we directly approach the campaigners. So we crawl around Kickstarter, crawl around Indiegogo, and see like cool campaigns with good potential, and approach them directly with our services, and talk to them. And in the end, either we work or not, but still. And the second channel is referrals by the agencies. So campaigners first go to the agencies with their idea, with their campaign, and seeing the potential, the partner agencies are, advising to have at least an X amount of budget to have this campaign really cool on and with hitting all the goals and, to make it a really viral campaign. And if there is a lack of budget, then they are referring to us. So this is the second channel. And the third channel is just direct approach by the campaigners through our website, through our social media, Facebook, approaching us and, bringing up their ideas. And this time it works like the way back. So we are referring the campaign to our partners depending on what type of campaign it is, on which platform it will run, etc., etc. So depending on some specialties of the campaign, we are referring to a couple of our partners so that they can choose with whom they will be going to working. And then, again, we will operate with the same model of trilateral relationship around us.
Man, that's exciting. I love it. It's a great model. It makes a lot of sense. Also, it's not like your deal flow is ever gonna dry up. And it makes sense. And you're providing there's always gonna be somebody. Right now, I'm already thinking. I'm like, oh man, I want a crowd. What do I get? Where's my product, Karin? I want to launch something. I don't have anything. It's okay. I don't have anything good to bring to your attention. If I did, I'd be like, come on, I'm launching. But I'd have to be successful enough to get on your radar. So I don't know. Might not work. There you go. I'm just a podcaster. I'll figure that one out next time. But I love the model.
You can try.
Thank you for the consolation. I can try. Oh man. So that being said, Karin, so do you also take on investors, or is this all? Do you also take on outside investors that want to back the fund, or how does that part of it work, or is it all just private?
Sure. Actually, Sprint is basically it's an equity fund with all the equity fund rules and structure. So from one side, it is funding crowdfunding campaigns. From another side, it is taking on private investors who are, have some funds set aside and can mainly, let's say, with less risk, attract to gain some attractive profits gains on their money. And to bring up some numbers, so far we started, as I mentioned, in 2018, and so far we have grown around 47%. in terms of net asset value. So basically, that was the gain for the investors totally. So
and what are the right type of investors that make sense for your type of fund?
All right. So we usually seek for investors who are engaged in any kind of and would like to be engaged in innovation sphere, because crowdfunding is more of an innovation type of product. And from another side, they are less, more risk averse, to say, right? So less risk takers, or they are doing a portfolio with their risky investments, say angel investments, or maybe even higher stages of startup investments. Plus, they are including in their portfolio Sprint, and with this, they are somehow hedging the risk around the innovation sector, right, in their overall portfolio. So these are the types of investors that we are looking for.
So, Karan, if somebody's listening to this and they want more information on Sprint Crowdfunders Fund, what's the best way for them to reach out?
Basically, either through website, which is sprintcf.com, or through Facebook, which is again SprintCF or Sprint Crowdfunders Fund. Otherwise, they can just email me at karen.vardanyan@sprintcf.com.
Perfect. Well, hey, Karan, been great having you on the show today, catching up and learning more about what you're doing over at Sprint Crowdfunders Fund. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. Leave me a review on the Apple iTunes Store. If you're listening this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Money, give us a subscribe there, but also leave us some comments in the comment section. Love to know what kind of things you're working on and what's going on your neck of the woods. And Karan, thanks again for coming on the show.